Hi, my name is Tomasz Poszytek, and in this video I would like to talk about credentials and confidential information in RPA. So during the Microsoft Ignite, I was serving an SMI role, so the subject matter expert, and I was helping Microsoft team to moderate, to answer questions around Power Automate Desktop. And one of the questions that was really popping up the mostly often was the one around how can we pass confidential information from the cloud to RPA, to Power Automate Desktop. So how can we use passwords, logins, and so on. And so maybe for many of us, this is not that very much important question. However, you can't simply put password and login as open text variables in your Power Automate flows, or just store them in Power Automate Desktop flows, right, as a variables. So the answer was you should use Azure Key Vault. And well, maybe this seems easy to some of you, but it's not that very straightforward. And when most of us here use Azure, then it already brings a rush on our faces. Like, well, Azure, it costs a lot and it is so hard to configure. I don't have an Azure specialist, and so on and so on. So in this video, I will do a walkthrough how you can actually set it up and how you can use it, so that I hope it will be then easier for you. So the demo that I'm going to just show you is going to be around signing into an online bank account and doing a transfer. And so after the transfer, the bot is going to sign out. However, to sign in, it obviously needs the login and a password. So I will start from automation of the web interface, so to handle this sign-in process. So I'll now create a new flow. Let's call it do a transfer. And now, first thing I would like to do is to actually call this web recorder to, yes, record this web page or the similar one. Let me just open the full screen. So this is the web recorder. So the first step is going to be, I need to go to this particular URL. So that works. Now I need to type in login, press. But as you can see, this actually doesn't work. So like nothing is being registered by the web recorder. So instead of doing this that way, I will simply now navigate to the UI elements, and I will record, or I will, let's say, save all the UI elements I need in my flow manually, and then create the flow manually as well. So right now I need to hit this add UI element, go back to the web page. And so right here, as you can see, once I'm hovering on the web page, all these DOM elements that are recognized are highlighted or surrounded with this red border. So right now I need to press Ctrl on my keyboard. So I hit it. And while pressed, I need to click mouse button on the UI element I want to record. So, all right, and then button. Now I need to do the same with the password and the button accept. All right, and now I need to do the same with payments here. All right. And then with payment here. So right here I have all this information. Now I need to type in here something so that I will be able to actually move forward. Now I have also somewhere here these bank accounts examples that will help me to simply proceed. Well, there is a new item. Okay. and log out. All right, so this part is done. I have now a long list of UI elements, right? So these are all the UI elements I actually need in my process. So right now I'll just get silent and I will start configuring. This part of video might be a little bit speeded up. All right, so now I can check if it works. Let me just run it. All right, so in this run, this button to confirm that the account is actually valid hasn't appeared. So what I will simply do, I will add these conditionals here, and I'll add if web page contains condition, so that this element, this action is only going to be executed if that confirm button actually exists on the UI. So let me check if after adding this condition, this flow is going to work. All right. So one more try. So far, so good. Now the payment. And so now it's checking if the button exists. No, it doesn't. So it's going forward. Oops. And now it got stuck on this button. So it seems that this button has changed its selector. So maybe I'll try to add it once again. All right. And possibly the reason why this selector was changed was that that element didn't exist, and therefore the newly generated button class was different. But that is just a presumption. That is something you should maybe try and check on your own if you have a similar scenario. And then if this is truth, so that if that button's class is related to existence or non-existence of that button, then you should just create a branched scenario. So okay, I'll just use this new selector here and run it once again. Hopefully this time this is going to work smoothly without any issues. So now it's going good. That was fine as well. So this all was working quite well. Then again, the one doesn't exist, so it is going forward. Okay, it worked. And well, now it crashed on the logout button. So you know what, because I just don't want to actually lose any more time on trying to solve why this selector is not working or is working, I'll just remove this action from the flow so that the workflow, I mean the flow, the RPA flow is just going to go smoothly and will work fine. So this is the part of the Power Automate desktop that is now done. So this is now being saved. All right. You can see that the status is saving in process. You have to be aware that all these Power Automate desktop flows are being saved into CDS. So they are stored in cloud, not on your desktop, not on your local machine. So always the time to save the process and then to open the process is a bit longer than if it was all stored locally, obviously. But well, this way this can all work more seamless and is all more integrated. So I think this is a sacrifice that we can actually do or commit. So in the meantime, I'll go to my Azure Key Vault, and this time I'll show you how you can create your secure storage for your credentials, for your passwords, and for all the confidential information you'd like to use in your Power Automates and Power Automate desktop as well. So I'll just add it to tests. I will say bank account data. I need to use a region that is very close to me because I don't actually want to keep this data far away. Now there you have also the pricing tiers. You need to as well go and check what is the difference between the standard tier and there is a premium one. So depending on what you need and how much like functionality and security you need, then choose the proper one. Then you need to configure settings around the recovery and soft delete. Then you have to set the account, the access policy. Now, me as an author, I have like power user, the full access to everything I want. But if I'd like, for example, to add a new user to my to this Key Vault, so then I will simply define that person. For example, my admin account. Then what I can do as well, I can choose from one of the existing templates, or I can simply grant the permissions on my own. So for example, I would like that this user has only permissions to get the key, so that is only able to read keys. Therefore, is only able to get the secrets, so can only read the secrets. And only these two permissions I want to grant that user. What I can as well do, I can add an access policy on, for example, the SharePoint, and this is always done to the SharePoint as application. By the way, if you don't want to choose this template and just want to set the principle on your own, here you can as well create an AD application, register an application, and then grant that application an access to your Key Vault as well. So this is well, for you, how you want to manage the access. Now the next thing is how I'd like to access the Key Vault. So only from my internal maybe endpoints, or I mean, whether I want to make this Key Vault as a public endpoint so that I can call it from any application, or maybe I want to only call it from the specified networks. Finally, the tags, and then the creation. So now it's going to be reviewed. And then once this is created, again, I can click create. Okay, now it's done. I can go to the resource. Now, what I can keep in my Key Vault are obviously the keys, the secrets, and certificates. So for the purpose of this demo, I'll go to secrets, and I'll now create a new secret. I'll call this the bank login. it was just a test. All right. And then the other secret I want to create is going to be the bank password, and I'll also call it test. All right. The next step I need to do is to create this custom flow that will simply call my Power Automate desktop and will pass all the information to this flow, to this RPA flow, and therefore it will be able to, well, trigger this secure bank transaction. Sorry, not this one. I want to use the scheduled, the manual. So I need here a couple of information. So I need obviously the var recipient. I need title. I need the IBAN, and I need the amount. Now, if, for example, you are now creating an invoicing process or this automatic payment of invoices, therefore you'd probably trigger this flow out of a different flow that you have created previously, so that, for example, it's a scheduled flow that is being triggered once a day and checks which invoices it should pay, and then it connects to the CRM system, grabs all this information around the invoices about the recipients and the amounts, and then simply then triggers the Power Automate desktop to actually handle this payment. However, for this demo, I don't have this full round circle scenario, so I'll just simply create this manual flow. Now, the next step we have to do is actually to call the Key Vault to get the password and the login. So there is this Azure Key Vault action. So what I need to do is to get a secret. Sorry, and I need to change the connection as well, because I now want to use a different key vault. So I need to use this key vault's name provided here. And obviously sign in. So I'll just take the bank login, and then I will also get the, the bank password. Now, what is also important here, if you also want to secure that even if someone opens the run history of the flow, therefore they will not be able to preview what information is being passed here, then you need to go into this ellipsis icon here, then the settings, and then under the settings, there are these two configuration options. So the secure inputs, then no one is going to see what data is coming into the action, and secure outputs, so no one gonna see what data is coming out from the action. For this action, because it is only returning the confidential information, we need to select these secure outputs. The same I need to do for the second action. So we can see these two actions have those locked or locks icons, which means that they are secured. Now the next thing I have to do is to actually call the UI flow to run the Power Automate desktop. So now I want to do a transfer in attended mode. And here, this action, on the other hand, has to be configured that it secures input, so that in the history, I will not be able to see what data was passed to this action. So first, the login. It is a value. Then the password. And then I can actually go to the beginning, so the recipient, then the IBAN, title, and the amount. Right. So let me just save it. I'll now switch to the bank account list so I can copy it again. Now this one, and now I can test it. Are you ready? So let's see if this works. So right now the cloud, the on-premises data gateway, is being contacted or is being reached from the on-premises data gateway service in my Azure, and it always takes a moment actually to be triggered. But hey, in RPA processes we are not actually counting on that they're triggered and executed immediately, because we are all aware that, well, this is something happening on the UI level, not on the endpoints level. So that just cannot be done immediately. Okay, now you can see it's starting test. The password was also test, but you see that this information was taken from the Azure Key Vault. Ta-da! So it worked. Now the information that I also want to show you, or the thing that I also want to show you, is that because I set these 2 or 3 actions to be secured both from the output or the input side, therefore you can see that the information here as an output is not shown because the configuration prevents it. The same here and the same here. So because the inputs is secured, therefore no one is actually able to preview what credentials or what confidential information is being passed. And then with the Azure Key Vault, you're actually granting someone an access to use these values, to use this information. However, not to actually modify them, but having these flows, these runs, you're only secure, or I mean, you are sure that no one actually knows what the values of this confidential information is, so you can securely pass them then to Power Automate Desktop as well, and well, then securely use them in your processes. So I hope you liked the video. I hope you like this walkthrough on how this integration with Azure Key Vault can be done and why and under which circumstances. And so if you have any questions, simply write them down in the comments below the video. If you'd like to ask me something else, then reach me out over my social media. And well, subscribe, like, and see you in the next video. Thank you and bye.